Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Some of you welcome back. I don't post as much as I used to, but this flight I really decided to post. Initially I only wanted to post the approach because it was an interesting approach. It was an ILS almost down to the minimums in the actual, but then I thought about it and this whole flight was interesting. For a lot of people this is going to be a long video. They want to just see the landing or maybe the approach. You can fast forward, but for those who are really interested in seeing how a complete flight happens from liftoff to touchdown, this is a video for you. I hope you stay with it. There's a lot of clouds, there's a lot of IMC. Now, as an IFR private pilot, this is what we train for. This is our dream flight. But I'll talk about specifics during the flight. Let me get into briefing this flight first. First of all, this is a flight from Torrance Airport KTOA to Brackett KPOC. It's an IFR flight. As you can see, the map is very busy. So what I'm going to do is, let me simplify this map for you, just for this flight. And let me add the coastline, just to make it more interesting so we kind of get some reference around here. If you guys want to know, that's where downtown LA is, Hollywood sign, Santa Monica Pier. And actually, we're going to fly over Disneyland. But let's get into this flight. Let me play for you. This is the actual clearance that I got from the ATC down to Torrance. Let's listen up.
This is 07 Romeo, clear to Brackett Airport, dawn departure, fly runway heading, intercept Los Angeles 170 radio to Limbo, Victor 64, Seal Beach, Victor 8, Pox2, Victor 363, Pomona's Papa Oscar Mike, direct, climb, maintain 3000, expect 5000, 10 minutes after departure frequency 134.9 squawk 4.
Okay, so now that we got this clearance, you can kind of see what we have a departure procedure down to Limbo, then from Limbo, that's pretty much all of it is en route. At the end it says Pomona VOR direct. So let me go over what the flight is actually going to be. This is what happened. On takeoff, we did fly runway heading 290, and then the ATC at one point started turning us. It turned us first to a heading of 210, and then to a heading of 130, and then basically said fly direct Seal Beach, which at that point the heading was 067. That's very close to Victor 64, which is actually our en route part. So basically from this point, from 067 to Seal Beach, that's where our en route part begins. I've denoted the orange as departure, then we got our en route, which is magenta, and then the approach is going to be a different color. From this point on, we're flying as cleared, Seal Beach. We're going to fly to Pox2 on Victor 8, and then we're going to intercept Victor 363, which is heading 344 to Pomona VOR for just a little bit. Once we intercept this heading, I actually let the ATC know, hey, I would like to do the ILS. They say sure, and they start vectoring me almost immediately for the ILS approach. Now for the ILS approach, I'm just going to add the 2 points so you guys can see them. These 2 points, Han and Lizzie, are actually from the approach plate. They're not on the IFR chart, they're from the approach plate, and they are part of the ILS 26 left approach into Brackett. Lizzie is actually the initial approach fix, IAF, where the approach begins, but the ATC is going to put us somewhere in between the two. First we're going to fly a heading of 060 and then a heading of 030. Then the ATC told us to fly a heading of 360, then heading of 350 very short after that. At that point we were almost headed towards Lizzie, just inside Lizzie. It's exactly as the ATC planned it, and then he gave us the final turn heading of 280 to intercept the localizer of a 259. So this is going to be our flight. Now before we get into the flight, let's brief the approach. So here's the approach plate, the ILS 26 left into Brackett. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to impose the flight path that the ATC gave us in green. You can kind of see where he put us right in between Han and Lizzie. And then I intercepted the localizer and flew heading 259 to Brackett. Now this is the top view. Let's go to the side view real quick so I kind of tell you what's going on with the altitudes. We're going to be at 5,000 for kind of a long time. The ATC gave me a descent late. The descent was given to me when the ATC gave me the final turn of 280. So at that point I started descending from 5,000 to 4,000 until I was established on a localizer. I was at 4,000 just as I intercepted the localizer. You'll see that in the video. Almost at the same exact time. So at that point, since I was established, I could actually go down to 3,200, which is the altitude we can descend to, the step down descent, up until we reach Han. Now Han is the final approach fix, close by to it. At that point we'll intercept the glide slope and we'll follow the glide slope and the localizer all the way down to Brackett. The minimums, the last thing to know on this one, the minimums are 1,335 feet. That's our decision altitude. At that point, if you don't see the runway, you do a missed approach. Let's get in the airplane. It's a long video, but guys, stay with me. It's going to be interesting.
We're in a plane taking off from Torrance Airport, runway 29 right, and first thing I noticed is the crosswind. Just pushed the plane to the right. This wasn't in the 80s, it was unexpected, so immediate full aileron into the wind, and as we pick up speed, the ailerons become more effective, so I start reducing the aileron input, slowly taking it out. Here's a takeoff, and we're on a runway heading of 290. Earlier I said this was an interesting flight, and part of that was the weather. Like the unexpected crosswind, the weather turned out to be worse than forecast. I expected to get some IMC, clouds, no visibility, but not as much as we got.
Skyline 07 Romeo requests sky conditions for cloud bases and tops. If you could pass that along to the next controller. Contact the final departure grid.
Roger, Bomb SoCal 079. SoCal departure Skyline 2307 Romeo with you out of Torrance 700 for 3000.
Skyline 2307 Romeo, SoCal departure then. 07 Romeo, radar contact, outbound northwest Torrance, climb and maintain 5,000.
Roger, out of 1000 for 5000, 07 Romeo.
Little carb heat would be nice. Really kills the climb though.
It's alright.
Okay, several things just happened. Carb heat, I needed to use that to prevent ice buildup in the carburetor. With visible moisture and low temperatures, ice may build up in the carburetor, cutting off the airflow to the engine. This is not good. Bad thing about having carb heat on during a climb is that you lose power. It affects the airplane performance. The other thing is that in poor weather, the ATCs may ask pilots for weather updates like the ATC just did. The Torrance ATC just asked me to report ceilings and tops of the clouds to the next controller. And of course, as I checked in with the next ATC, that last ATC actually cleared me up all the way to our final altitude of 5,000 feet. So we're still on a runway heading of 290, but the SoCal ATC will start vectoring us pretty soon to a heading of 210.
Skyline 07 Romeo, turn left heading at 210.
Left 210, 079. So long LAX.
Now the cloud bases are over there and we're above them. So
You want to report them?
tell them the cloud bases are at 1600.
Piper 4058 Romeo, contact approach 134.2.
134.2, 4058 Romeo. SoCal approach 2307 Romeo. Some of the broken cloud bases are at the 1600.
Thank you.
So I reported the cloud bases and turned to a heading of 210. Now we'll start entering clouds, and this is where flying gets really busy. The workload literally triples.
And others are not.
Yep, we just entered some.
Yep.
Speaking for myself and only for myself, when entering clouds, I found out that for me, the first 30 seconds are very crucial. I just transitioned from visual to instrument flying. To best describe it, it's like losing one of the senses. It's like walking into a dark room and suddenly having to rely on my hearing and touch. Now, I'm trained for this. I have experience in this, but still, this transitional period, I've trained myself to be super concentrated for about 30 seconds until I fully adjust.
Skyline 07 Romeo, turn left heading 130.
left 1300, Romeo.
The ATC just gave me a new vector heading 130. Now I'm in a climbing turn inside the clouds. I'm already fully adjusted. Keep that instrument panel scan going, and you have to ignore the outside senses. Again, this becomes easier after those 30 seconds. You literally have to ignore everything your body's telling you and just trust your eyes and trust those instruments. Cloud flying is different than flying under the hood, for me at least. Clouds are usually a little bumpy. Of course, you can't just raise your head and look outside if you lose your concentration or get a little bit disoriented. This is real. This is life in your own hands.
Alien 07 Romeo, contact approach on 125.35.
Say that again.
07 Romeo, contact approach 125.35.
12535, 07 Romeo, good day. SoCal approach, Scallion 2307 Romeo is with you, 3,300, climbing 5,000, heading 130.
Scallion 2307 Romeo, SoCal approach. Roger, Long Beach altimeter 3003.
300207 Romeo.
You just heard a perfect example of priorities. I'm concentrating on flying and the ATC is giving me a confusing frequency. Fly the plane, navigate, then communicate. Say again, I don't have time to decipher what the ATC said. Fly the plane first.
Number 5763, telemetering 010, contact approach 121.3.
121.3 and turn left to 010, Southwest 5763.
We're still climbing, heading 130. Now the ATC will turn us to a heading of 090, direct Seal Beach VOR, then our own nav, meaning follow our clearance. Fly to Seal Beach, Victor 8, Potsu, etc. This will be our en route part of the flight.
07 Romeo, to left turn, heading 090, when able to proceed direct Seal Beach, resume on navigation.
Roger, left 090, direct Seal Beach, then on now 07 Romeo.
SoCal approach, Eclipse Jet 18, Bravo Mike 7,200, descending 4,000.
18 Bravo Mike, SoCal approach, Roger, Long Beach altimeter 3003, descend and maintain 2,000.
Descend and maintain 2,000, Bravo Mike.
I just tuned the VOR to Seal Beach. It was initially 068, but by the time we turned, it had become 067. The VOR is centered. Now I have to keep it centered to get us to Seal Beach. Our heading to Seal Beach is 067, but there is some crosswinds. There's actually pretty high winds today, one of the weather issues, and there is a little bit of crosswind hitting us from our tail end about 7 o'clock. So to maintain a track of 067, I actually have to fly a heading of about 060 or so.
I don't you like the car beat?
Oh, it just takes away our power.
Oh, well.
I mentioned it a little bit earlier, carburetor heat affects the airplane performance. Cessna 182 Skyline has enough power, it'll keep climbing. However, you still don't want to lose that forward momentum. So if we lose this forward momentum, we're going to have to put the nose down, level off for a while, pick up some speed, and then raise the nose up and continue our climb. If I keep it above 80 or 85, I shouldn't have that problem. You want to be efficient.
I broke your VOR. It's not moving.
You can buy me a new one.
I broke the VOR joke is basically saying VOR hasn't moved, so I kept my track to the VOR. We're about to reach 5,000 feet to our final altitude, which for me eases off the workload. I don't get complacent or relax too much, but I do breathe a little easier. When climbing, you have to concentrate on climbing, airspeed, and heading, as well as altitude, about equally. Once level and trimmed, I just have to make sure the plane stays at that altitude. Most of the concentration is on the heading. We just reached 5,000 feet.
Six Bravo Mike, turn left heading 040, vector final.
040, right, Bravo Mike.
And right now we're entering a broken layer of clouds. This can be good and bad. Good because it's a low breather, no doubt. But also where concentration is 100% in instruments when we're in IMC, a broken cloud layer can make our eyes wander in and out of the cockpit, leaving our instruments. If not careful, this can be very distracting and disorienting. You can get into trouble really quick. Never lose sight of the instruments, because you can find yourself inside a cloud in real IMC really quick. It's also a good time to see if we can get some Brackett weather. This is one of those times where I hear my former instructor's voice. If you're not doing anything in the plane, you're doing something wrong. No time to relax.
Your 9er, viewpoint to 9er, altimeter 3005. VOR Alpha approaching the east landing and departing runway 26 left and runway 26 right. Attention aircraft hazardous weather information for Southern California available on high loss and flight service frequencies. Caution for activity vicinity Brackett Airport. Resident procedures in effect. Reback hold short instructions and runway assignment. Pilot reports at 1805 Zulu, a Cessna 414, reporting base is 1 mile of Brackett Airport at 1,600. Advise initial contact information, Bravo. Brackett Airport information, Bravo 1847 Zulu. Wind calm, visibility 2 1/2. Light rain, mist. Ceiling 800 broken, 1,200 overcast. Temperature 9er, viewpoint to 9er, altimeter 3005. VOR Alpha approaching the east landing and departing runway 26 left and runway 26 right. Attention aircraft hazardous weather information for Southern California available on high loss and flight service frequencies. Caution for activity vicinity Brackett Airport. Resident procedures in effect. Reback hold short instructions and runway.
Bravo Mike, flighting 030.
030, right, Bravo Mike.
Hope you noticed that while getting the ATIS, we flew right back into another cloud, just like that. Always keep your eyes on the instruments.
Ceiling 800 broken.
800 broken. If it stays, I'll be in some soup all the way down there.
800 broken. That's only about 500 feet above the minimums. This is not going to be an easy approach. We're going to be in weather just about all the way down there.
Coming 07, remain 10 second approach 121.3.
121.3 was 07 running.
And departure citation 565 are cleared out approach.
170 heading 3000, fill established, clear for the island 20 right, frontier 267.
SoCal First Sky 2307, Romeo with you, level 5000.
2307 Romeo, SoCal approach, John Wayne, altimeter 3004.
3004, 07 Romeo.
78 Papa, turn left heading 020.
Above the clouds now, or it seems like, but the fun's just beginning. And we just overflew the Seal Beach VOR. I adjusted the VOR to our new course of 058 for Victor 8 to get us to box scoop.
Settlement Pop, momentary severe turbulence with the higher buildup.
78 Papa, second.
78 Pop, momentary severe turbulence in some of the higher buildup.
Frontier flight 269, contact John Wayne Tower 126.8, have a good one.
167, we'll see frontier 265.
Any icing on the wings?
No, just water.
Getting back to the weather, the freezing level on this flight was between 5,000 and 7,000 feet. We're right at the edge of it. Since I was flying, my friends was the one looking out for that icing. I concentrated on the instruments mostly. We don't get these low freezing levels in Southern California that often, so it can be something you can overlook if you only fly over here. You have to pay attention to this stuff. It's very important, and you have to be ready for it. In this case, what was our plan? Our plan was to go down 4,000 feet if we see any icing. 4,000 foot altitude will give us clearance above all obstacles all the way to our final approach when we intercept the ILS. At this point, I started thinking about the missed approach. It was a real possibility, so I'm starting to get ready for it, starting to look it up. You always have to be ready for that. But on days like today, a missed approach is a real possibility, and you better know where you need to go.
Number 78 Papa, turn right heading 110. 110, set the top.
So in and out of the clouds. One moment it looks like we're out for a while, the next moment we're in full IMC and it's raining.
Papa, 5 miles from Lemon to right heading 170, maintain 3,000 until established on the local exit. Good ILS runway 20 right approach.
170, safety approach, establish 3,000, so establish the top.
We're flying like this.
Another weather challenge for today was the winds. You can't see it well on the GoPro camera, but we are quote-unquote flying sideways. We're skidding. At this point we had about 30 knot crosswinds here, almost. Now this crosswind will actually become a headwind during our final approach. Now a headwind, usually you would think, oh, no biggie, no need to adjust the heading, everything's cool. Except with an approach speed of 90 knots, a 30 knot headwind slows your ground speed by 1/3, which affects your rate of descent. From a normal 400 to 500 foot per minute rate of descent, now we need to do about 250, 300 feet per minute rate of descent. We need to think ahead. What do we need to do on that final approach to reduce the rate of descent, but not the airspeed? We will need a different power setting.
I broke your VOR again.
You can buy me a new one.
That was another VOR joke. It's a pretty quiet flight, so had to break the monotony.
Oh, never mind.
Number 78 Papa, contact ground wing tower 126.8, yeah.
What's that?
It's moving now.
Oh, yeah.
Getting back to the power settings. Power settings affect the rate of descent. The pitch affects the airspeed. Now, another thing to think about, as we go lower, there's going to be less wind, so the power setting will not be constant. That's another thing to think about. All this in IMC with very low minimums. I told you this flight was interesting. We're still on Victor 8 tracking 058, but our heading now is about 045050. Pretty soon we'll join Victor 363 to Pomona VOR, then we'll really have some direct 30 knot crosswinds.
It's really dead today out here.
Well, not too many people flying.
Well, even airliners.
You would think people would be coming back from wherever they went for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's true. Unless they're taking the latest flight, which is in the evening.
Skyline 07 Romeo, contact approach 125.5, good day.
125.5, 07 Romeo. Good day, thanks for your help. SoCal approach Skyline 2307 Romeo, with you, level 5,000.
2307 Romeo, SoCal approach, material altimeter 3001, advise Bravo at Brackett.
3001, we'll go get Bravo at Brackett 07 Romeo.
VOR Alpha approach needs landing and departing runway 26 left and runway 26 right. Attention aircraft has this weather information for Southern California available on high loss and flight service frequencies. for activity vicinity Brackett Airport. Designated procedures in effect. Reback all short instructions and runway assignments. Pilot reports at 1805 Zulu, a Cessna 414, reported bases 1 mile east of Brackett Airport at 1,007 Romeo. Where are you direct?
Say again?
07 Romeo, you direct Pomona VOR.
We're going direct Pomona right now, 07 on. Except there's winds pushing us. Let's get that wind correction in there. 20 degrees.
If you missed it while getting the weather again, we turned to Victor 363 to Pomona VOR. The ATC was just making sure we're turning.
07 Romeo, descend and maintain 4,000.
Out of 5 down to 4, 07 on. 07 on, can we get the ILS?
Maintain 5,000.
SoCal approach, can we get the ILS? This is 07 Romeo.
07 Romeo, roger, maintain 5,000.
Roger, we'll stay at 5,000, 07 Romeo.
We're 92 Delta, and altitude maintain 4,000.
Okay, so a few things happened here. ATC said go to 4,000. This was getting us ready for the VOR approach. Then as I was asking for the ILS approach, the ATC realized that he's going to have to give us the ILS, so he put us back to 5,000 feet. We spoke at the same time, so we actually missed each other. That is why when you're not sure, you don't get a response. Ask, ask, ask. Don't assume. Ask the ATC.
07 Romeo, turn right, heading 060.
Right, 060 for 07 Romeo.
At this point, the ATC is going to start vectoring us for the ILS. First thing, heading 060.
Number 9 for uniform, turn right, heading 160, join the Hawthorne, runway 25, localizer.
Return to 160 to join the localizer 9381.
Just when you get it, they change you.
At this point, I start setting up for the ILS. My friend loaded up the ILS approach into the GPS. I set up the VOR for the ILS approach. I know we have low ceilings, and I will probably be in the soup until about half a mile to a mile from the runway. Expecting headwinds, expecting to keep adjusting my power settings, getting ready for this approach.
For uniform contact approach 124.9er.
24.9 for 924 long.
Oh, I got a lot more than I thought I would.
Got a lot more than I thought I would. I was talking about the cloud flying, IMC. The good thing about being vectored is that you don't have to worry about the wind correction. Just make sure you don't fly into the mountains. I don't know if you noticed, but there hasn't been too much non-flight related talking in this cockpit. We're both busy in this cockpit, and there hasn't been too much traffic out there either. This is Los Angeles, busy airspace. There should be a lot more traffic than it's out there now, but not today. Now the ATC will vector us again to 030.
07 Romeo, turn left, heading 030.
Left 030, 07 Romeo.
Number 9 Juliet Delta, disregard.
You seeing anything outside?
Nope. Those clouds.
Number 9 Juliet Delta, turn right, heading 360, climb and maintain 5,000.
This is a beautiful flight. Something instrument-rated general aviation pilots dream about in Southern California. Man or woman with a plane in this weather. Some people like hunting, others racing, some skateboarding, snowboarding, whatever. This is what I get excited about. This is it for me. So now I'm briefing the approach. I'm getting ready for the missed approach too.
Almost 1335.
SoCal Blanca 4201 Bravo, airborne climb at 3000.
Blanca 4201 Bravo, SoCal departure, ident, Ontario altimeter 3001.
001 Bravo.
Bearing 09 Whiskey, say cruising speed.
Indicating 160.
Okay, so the best approach. The left turn, intercept.
Julia Delta, time and maintain
164. The throttle.
9 Julia Delta, turn left heading 270.
Just like the departure.
Yep.
Place 102 Romeo Echo, SoCal departure, ident, Ontario altimeter 3001.
Ontario's all.
Delta 01 Bravo, radar contact 3 miles west of Chino Airport, turn 15 west, join the runway 25 localizer.
Okay, I didn't get the first part of that. Heading 260 to join the runway 25 localizer at Hawthorne. 26 left.
Blanca 01 Bravo, that's correct, and your radar contact.
Delta Bravo, thank you. Ashton Brack City, Vicinity, Brackett Airport.
007 Romeo, turn left heading 360.
Left 3607 Romeo. And we have Bravo at Brackett.
So the ATC set us to a heading of 360, but because there's a lot of crosswind, he'll adjust it to 350 pretty soon. It'll put us somewhere between Lizzie and Hong, 2 points we spoke about earlier.
Number 2 Romeo Echo, what's your forecasted cruising altitude? Delta 01 Bravo, contact approach on 24.9er.
24.901 Bravo.
Now the ATC will do something interesting. Turn heading 350 and join the localizer.
007 Romeo, turn left heading 350, join the localizer.
Left 350, join localizer 07.
Number 2 Romeo Echo, contact Riverside Tower 121.0.
The pretty sharp intercept.
He'll turn us again. But just in case he forgets, because they've flown people into the mountains before here. And they forgot about him. We have the clearance to join localizer, so.
You notice my friend noticed that too. We have mountains north of us. So the ATC said join the localizer. This is just in case. He will turn me one more time, but there have been cases where little GA aircraft have been forgotten about with busy ATCs and have flown into mountains. And we do have mountains just north of us. Here the ATC said, turn here, but then join the localizer, just in case.
Number 9 Juliet Delta, maintain 8,000, present heading join Victor 459.
Now you can see the needles. They're both indicating we are at 5,000 feet and should intercept the localizer soon. And we should intercept the glide slope at Point Han at 3,200 feet.
Circle approach 07 Romeo, request descent.
Number 07 Romeo, maintain 5,000 per second. I'll give you a signature shortly.
Roger, we'll stay at 5,000, 07 on.
We need to get down soon, but we're just above Ontario ILS approaches. I actually asked to go lower, but that was a negative. Obviously, there's an airliner coming into Ontario.
Number 07 Romeo, 5 miles from Han, turn left heading 280, maintain 4,000, still establish on all 5 cleared out, approach runway 26.
Roger, heading 280, maintain 4,000 to establish, clear for the ILS 26 left, approach into Brackett 07 on.
Now the ATC did not forget about us. Give me a new heading of 280 to 4,000 until established on localizer and clear for the ILS approach. Turning to heading 280 to intercept the localizer and descending to 4,000. Once established on the localizer, we can go down to 3,200 for the approach plate and then intercept the glide slope at Han. Heading 280, 4,700 feet and descending, watching the localizer needle.
Number 09er Whiskey, contact approach 135.05.
3505.
It's rainy, it's bumpy, it's perfect. Looking at the temperatures, checking for icing, everything looks good.
Delta 96808, SoCal departure. High Gent, Ontario altimeter 3001.
Here comes the localizer needle. We're established on the final approach, 4,100, and we can go down to 3,200 feet. This is the easy part. It's a step down descent to that point. Glide slope with a strong headwind is another story.
I say we're established.
I would say so.
This is fun.
Delta 808, reset transponder, block 4761.
Localizer is staying centered, minor changes if any, 3,500, going down to 3,200.
Romeo, contact Brackett Tower.
0700 to Brackett Tower, thanks for your help tonight. Brackett Tower, Skyline 2307 Romeo, inbound now west, just outside Han.
Skyline 2307 Romeo, Brackett Tower, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Clear to land, 26 left, 07 Romeo.
Holding at 3,200 feet, looking at the glide slope.
Alright, what is the heading? 268, okay. 1,200.
I'm back to DG set again, double checking. Looking at the ground speed, 60 knots. Thinking about power settings at this point. Normal 3-degree ILS power setting for a Cessna Skyline is about 13 inches. Today I'll start off with about 14 or 15 and see what happens once the glide slope comes in. There's a bit of a localizer needle movement. Once mag DG was set, no problem, readjusting. Fly headings, fly headings, fly headings. Don't chase the needle. Okay, the needle is back to center, slow down to the white arc, 90 knots indicated for the approach speed. New heading is holding, the localizer needle is staying centered, and the glide slope needle now has some movement. There is the glide slope, speed is good, adjusting power to 14 inches. And you can see that that power setting is not enough. We need to slow our rate of descent. We need a little bit more power. Let's go up to 16 to get back on the glide slope. Okay, now that the glide slope is intercepted, let's set the power back to 15. And the power of 15 inches seems to be holding the glide slope centered. And I'm only having minor heading adjustments. Just keep the plane there. Nothing erratic, minor movements.
Okay, I see the ground.
Seeing a bit of a ground doesn't mean anything. I am 100% looking at the instruments. We need to see the runway, or we need to see the runway lights. My friend is looking outside. He'll let me know if he sees the runway before the minimums. I do get asked by pilots who are not instrument rated yet, and non-pilots who fly Flight Simulator, hey, what's a good technique for doing the ILS? And the true thing is, the best thing out there is you want to make minor adjustments. You don't want to be all over the place. Any adjustment you make it smooth, make it small. The second thing is, look, there's two things you should be paying attention to. I mean, you pay attention to the whole instrument panel. Of course, you're going to keep that scan going. But there's two major instruments for doing an ILS approach. One is the heading indicator. You're flying a heading. That needle is like the pole. It tells you where you are at this moment in time. What really matters is that heading. You got to get that heading right. And if the heading is not right and the needle is moving to one side or the other, you pick another heading, you get that needle in center, and then you pick a third heading that you think is going to take you there. Don't chase the needle. That's the worst thing you can do. You're going to be all over the place. The second instrument you want to pay attention to is your vertical speed indicator, your VSI. You know what it should be for your approach. If you keep it there, that needle is going to stay centered. The last thing you want to do is start chasing that glide slope around. Set that VSI where it's supposed to be and keep it there. The last thing you want to focus on is power. You got to get those power settings right. That's the thing that controls your rate of descent. Your pitch is not going to do much except give you airspeed or slow you down. The real change maker for your altitude during landings and approaches is your power.
Let me know when you see it.
Looking for it.
800 feet, breaking out of the clouds, but the visibility is poor.
Airground's in sight. Okay, runway in sight.
Runway in sight?
Yep.
Good.
It's legal.
I see it. Going visual. Back tower, runway in sight.
Cessna 07 Romeo Roger, wind calm.
Okay, runway in sight, time to land. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Enjoy the landing. I know I did. Until next time, take care. See you guys. Bye.
Cessna 07 Romeo, nice job. Turn left to Echo, contact ground. Have a good day.
Thank you, left at Echo, then ground, 07 Romeo, good day.